Hey, what's up? I'm Lance.
And I'm Jeremy.
And we are Hard to Master, where we take a look at games that are hard to master, such as
Natera or Natera, New Beginning by Horizon Games.
Natera or Natera or
Not Nutella.
No, not Nutella. That is not one of the pronunciations. New Beginnings. This is a game that is coming to crowdfunding here in the very near future, so make sure to check out that link down below in the description of this video after you watch it. And we do want to make sure you understand what you see in this video is prototype, although this is a pretty stinking nice
You wouldn't believe it's prototype. I would like to keep this prototype.
Yeah.
But someone else will be looking at
dual layered. The board is dual layered. The player boards are dual layered.
Screen printed meeples. I mean,
yeah.
They really put the time and attention into this. So when you see it on the campaign, that is the goal. I mean, I've talked about a couple minor things as far as like not a glossy score pad, which they've already heard and plan on changing. But the majority of this game that you're going to see on the table should match the campaign, and it is the desired goal of Natera to achieve this production.
Now, what this game is, Natera, however you want to pronounce it, it's the era of nature, hence the name Natera.
Yeah, basically what happened is there was this virus, think of like Planet of the Apes,
right.
And there was this this vaccine that was created to basically help the humans, but it backfired, and it basically the nature or the different species grew much more intelligent, and basically Zootopia happened and
took over the world.
This society of different creatures.
So you're going to play as one of those factions of creatures, such as the bears or the raccoons or the possums or something along those lines.
Yeah,
right?
there are 8 different factions so far. As far as I know, that's the extent of the variability in the different factions. But each one of those factions is going to play vastly different in the way that their explorers are done, or maybe their production, because this game is set over 2 rounds of the game, and or 2 phases of each season. The game is 4 seasons long. And in the beginning of the first season, you're going to get different exploration cards. The green ones are easier to fulfill. The amber ones are going to be a little bit more difficult to fulfill. Now, the beginning phase is your normal actions kind of phase. You're going out, you're doing different things. And after that season's phase, you're going to have the rest phase, which is where you're going to be doing production, recalling your meeples, and things of that nature.
So basically the mechanics you got at play in this game are going to be worker placement out here on the board, filling in one of the spots that you can go to, track progression. There's 4 different tracks on the board, and as you progress on those tracks, it's going to unlock extra places for you to place your workers.
Which is an area, not only track progression, but those tracks are area majority for not only getting production bonuses by having the most, also revealing new locations on the board by achieving a certain level on those tracks, but also at the end of the game, you're going to have majority scoring, and if you can get to the end because you've raced up that track the most, you can place a claim token on that track, and now you're going to get 7 points for placing that claim token. But they also can be claimed over there.
Right, and you also have some cards that you can fulfill through your resources that you're trying to manage throughout the course of the game. You've got lots of different resources in this game, some that are harder to obtain than others. And you're going to be earning a lot of resources, hopefully, throughout the course of this game. And so managing what you do with those resources, prolonging your turns in this game, because this is one of those games where each player is going to take actions and you want to try to stay in the round as long as possible, doing actions before you have to ultimately pass, while other people are still taking their actions for that round. So if you manage your resources wisely, you can stay in the rounds longer in this game and hopefully do better.
And also engine building. One thing that Lance didn't say is you're going to get a lot of cards on the table, and not only are you going to be getting different tags from them because they're multi-use cards in a way, you are going to be maybe gaining production or an ability that you could spend energy cells to activate, things like that. So in your turns, what you're going to do essentially is you're going to have, most factions are going to have a leader meeple and an explorer meeple. The leader meeples will block spaces, whereas the explorer meeples can allow for other people to go there. But you cannot place your own meeple at a space where you have already placed. Now there are some exceptions, because some of the factions will allow you to negate those rules and you have your own. Like the bears, they only have leaders.
All leaders.
So they scare all the other animals away that they can't go to the same region. Now the moles, they don't have any leaders, but they have 4 explorers, so they're going to be able to place at the different regions, not where a bear might be or a person's leader is, but they have 1 extra spot that they can go to and try to get around that. Now one thing is they will have to go down on one. You're thinking, well, they would get 4 progressions, and that would have been really great. But they have the complexity of having to choose one of the tracks to go down at the end of the round, so they have an extra so these factions will give you an extra layer of, complexity based on the asymmetry in how their faction works. But you can place a meeple on your turn taking said action. Now you have to be able to perform action. You can't just go there to gain benefits. Now one thing you could do on your turn is you could spend 10 supply, which are the orange resources, and by spending orange supply that you have, you spend 10 of them, or maybe you had a card or something that lets you place a settlement, you could place a settlement out. Now when I said you could place a meeple to do the action, you have to be able to do that action. Like I said, if you didn't have 2 food to come here and get, to trade for 2 intelligence, you wouldn't be able to place your meeple there to gain said extra intelligence, because when you go where your house is or somebody else goes there, your settlement, well, that's going to give you the bonus depicted in that little bar there. So placing a worker is one of your actions that you could do. Now you're going to alternate actions until everybody's passed. Now if I don't want to do that, maybe I want to hire a specialist. Well, specialists always take food. You got to feed them. You got to lure them in, feeding them food. So if you have food, you could hire them. You'll gain the benefit in the gray area on the right side of the card. And now for the rest of the game, you have this ongoing benefit where I could use my action on my turn to activate that card using the energy cells to gain different resources or different things. Like some cards even let you tuck cards underneath, and when you do that, you're going to score points, either 1 or 2, at the end of the game for each card you've tucked.
Kind of like Wingspan.
Yeah, no, they all have a point total, whether that's 0 up to 3 or 4 is the highest I've seen. And those cards are going to be scored at the end of the game. So that's how hiring specialists are. Now you could also just play an exploration card out. Now you'll notice that these benefits here in the top, there's 3 different types with 3 different values. Now you have to choose one of those. You don't have to fulfill the cost of all of them, so I would maybe pay 3 hearts because that's maybe the easiest to get. Or if I have extra intelligence, I could spend the 2 intelligence or agility to play this card out in front. And notice this symbol here. This is the tag. So you'll notice it's going to go with this claim symbol, the kind of stock market or income symbol. And this just tells you it's an easy card. This tells you how many points. And this tells you that by playing it out in front of you, during production, this card actually would slide under your board because it's a production card, that you would get an extra card. Now you do have a hand limit, and if you have more than 8 cards, you're going to have to discard. Now if you discard 2 cards, you can get a resource of any time, and you can do that for a free action at any point on your turn to discard 2 cards to get a resource, any resource of your choice. Now if you're forced to do that at the end of your turn, you still gain the resource. This card's a little different though, because you'll see this red bar here, and this red bar is a requirement. So for this specific card, I would have to have 2 lab cards played. So if I had played both of these cards on a previous turn, I could play another card that had that requirement on there. You'll notice this is a tree symbol. Now the tree symbol is great because you're going to have these little trees in this tree board. And there are 4 different ones, and they're double-sided. There is the basic side, and then you can get funky with it by playing this other side. Now you're going to have to start at the bottom, and you can always place on any of these. Even if I place this here, you'll notice it's going up. I could come back and later place there. If I place here, well, I got a lot of options. I could place here, here, or here, here, here. You're building up this tree, gaining resources one time. Might let you move a worker on the board to another spot to activate, gaining influence and getting the benefits that you need. But you're wanting to fill these up because if you can get to the top, well, not only did you get all these benefits throughout the game and maybe production by this bottom row, but you're getting more points that you can score at the end of the game. So that's what your science tree does, or your lab tree. So we've talked about playing exploration cards. We've talked about hiring a specimen. We've talked a little bit about activating that ability of that specimen. And we talked about moving a worker out there. So you would do those different things in the free action of discarding 2 cards to gain 1 resource of your choice. You're doing all these things, like Lance said, getting that resource utilization, because that can give you extra turns, so someone maybe buys the specialist so that a new one comes out that you might be able to afford. Now there's nothing lower than 8 that I'm pretty sure, so you're going to have at least 8 food.
Gotta have a lot of food.
But if they're all 20s, like I've seen in a game, well, you're going to want somebody to buy 1, hoping that a cheaper one comes out. Not even to maybe have the benefit of it, but so that you can get a new one out so you can try and claim these. Because we talked about being up this track and getting majority. If you're up on the track ahead of other people, you're going to gain this, and this token will go in, and it will give you more production at the end of the round. Once you pass 3, you're going to flip both of the 2s. And now there's new locations out there. So more of a reason for you, because you are at that tier. Other people can't go there if they're not at that tier. If they're below level 3, they can't go there. When you get up to 6, you're at tier 3. Well, guess what? An even better location comes out. And so now I can, like this one, I can spend 2 energy cells to get a tech tree. Well, that's great because you can synergize with your claim tokens with a lot of these different things. This one was really good that I didn't even talk about that we flipped over. But copying this region. Now the campfire is a specific location that does not have, influence. So by going here, you're getting to move up this track and getting to take an action maybe that you wanted to do that's not going to give you another benefit of moving up a track. Because you have the farms, you have the city, you have the harbor, and you have the military base. And those regions do, move up and down. You have this push and pull because you can spend some of those tracks to get resources. So this one I gained 4 energy cells, but I do have to move down on a resource track of my choice. And again, if you place the settlement here and you went here, guess what?
Get more batteries.
It's basically a free action for you because you had 2, you spend them, you got 2 back. So there's a nice way to synergize on all these different things and you play off of other people's asymmetric abilities. Now at the end of the round, after everybody's placed all their meeples, you're gonna pull your meeples back, start doing production here. You're gonna get the cards for the next round because you move this down. Now in season 2, we get 3 green cards and 1 amber card that's going to add to your hand that you already have so you can play. And then at the end of your turn, if you had too many, you would discard down, gaining the resource like we said. And you do that through the 4th round. At the end of the 4th round, you're going to score looking at how many claim tokens you've placed out on the board, whether they're at claim token, the claim tiles, or the end of the influence tracks. You're going to look at how many settlements, and each settlement that you have out on the board is 3 points. You're going to look at your tech tree. Well, did you place any on the top 5 spots that have the in-game scoring? You're going to look at the influence tracks because we said you get points for the claim tokens, but you also get majority scoring based on where you are on the track. And if you have that claim token, even if they're on top of you, you're in the lead because they have to outdo you to take that from you. If you ever go to 0, though, it does go back. You don't get to keep it. Right. So just remember that as well. But first place on the track is going to get 7, 3 points for second place, and 1 point for third place. Now, if there's a tie for second and third, you'd both get, I think, 2 points, and no one will get third. But first place will be decided because it's whoever has the token. They have essentially the tiebreaker for that. Now the specimens, you'll look, and again you'll see how many points they have in those yellow diamonds, and then the same on your cards that you played into your tableau area. At the end you'll calculate the sum, and whoever has the most points wins, and that is Natera. Well, I call it Natera. It just flows, a little
Rolls
nicer.
off the tongue a little bit easier that way, yeah.
But yeah, let's get into what we think about the game.
Yeah, so this is I would consider this to be a fully medium weight, maybe medium heavy kind of game. I don't think that it's super complex. I think it's a game in which you've got a lot of choices that you could do on your turn. And because of that, it does feel maybe it's a little bit heavier than other games that would maybe be in the same ballpark as this one. It's just knowing the different options that you have available to you. It is kind of the thing you have to wrap your head around in this game. But then, like you said earlier, efficiently utilizing your resources and your cards to kind of prolong those turns is what this game is all about. And for me, that's a very, very enjoyable experience. I really enjoy the aspect of how at the beginning of the game, you only have these center options that you can go to. And you really want to go to these ones sparingly because you do have to discard some cards to be able to do that. And you're not progressing on any of these tracks unless you're the bears. The bears let you do that. That's their one of their special abilities.
Yeah, not only do they block spaces, but when they go to the campfire, they get to go up, they get to pick one track to go up.
But you don't want to just, throw your cards away willy-nilly in this game. There are some cards that aren't great and you should throw away, but they're definitely cards you want to...
There's some synergies you can find in the cards.
So you want to do that sparingly, but you've got to find your ways to really kind of inch ahead in this and get to tier 2s and tier 3s so you can unlock these better options. These tiles that are face down are almost always going to be better for you. You just got to be able to get there to be able to use it. And not only get there, you got to stay there because if you fall back down, then you lose access to it. So that's the struggle with this game. It is kind of like a tug of war in the sense, not that you're necessarily tugging and back and forth with the other players. It's more so trying to prolong that usefulness with your resources so that you can stay in the rounds and be able to take these actions and kind of get this snowball effect going because I can... Like we said here, I can use the batteries to get the tech tree, which is going to give me something. And if I've had my settlement there, then I'm getting the batteries right back anyhow. So that's kind of like this comboing freebie. And finding those little loopholes in the game is a really fun experience for me. I had a very enjoyable time with this one, and I haven't even gotten to the different factions and their abilities and how that dramatically shakes up your experience with this one. I'm going to come back to that here in a second, but what did you think about this one?
I like heavier games. It was not hard to teach. I felt like I taught it very well after just, printing out a rule book and, reading it and teaching it to two or three people. And it was, felt like it flowed off the tongue easy as far as teach. But the thing is you're watching a lot of different things and trying to figure out. A lot of times you need one extra resource of the resource that you need. And so it's easy to forget that you can discard 2 cards to get what you need. Don't forget that. Yeah. Remember that you can discard cards because that will help you get that food, that one food that you need, or that one brain that you need, so that intelligence, so that you can play that card, which then gives you these resources. So now I can play another card, or I can hire a specialist, which is going to give me the brain that I need to play this card, and then I can save my workers so that I can go get more things. It's really, there's a lot of nice choices in this one. I remember when I had seen it originally, and they were looking for people to cover it months ago. I was like, yeah, I'm definitely interested. I love heavier games. It looks great, but I was thinking, I don't know if it doesn't seem that heavy. And it's because when you teach it and the actions and the mechanics and everything, it's just pretty easy to teach.
Experience.
It's not like there's a whole lot that you're like, oh, I've never seen that. It's just the way that it all mixes together in the game gives you some really great complexity choices where I want that action because I need those supply, but I need to make sure that I'm winning this because I want the energy cells to boost this engine. So you have to watch and make sure that you're in that majority on those influence tracks because if not, you're going to wish you were. And that's a lot to think about. And those of you like me that do that well, you'll really like this, and it'll.
You said something that I didn't really think about until just now, that this is kind of one of those area majority games that you don't want to just get the control at the very end of the game when the end game scoring kind of takes into effect. You want to kind of have control throughout the game because you're getting these extra productions from the tokens so long as you control it. And that's so vitally important, right? Because like this one here, it gives you 2 extra batteries if you have it. And those batteries might be what you need to activate one of your specialists or you know, just that little bit of extra resource that you needed so that you didn't have to discard the cards. Like those little things that make a big difference in the long run happen in this game. And so you want to be on top of these tracks as best you can.
Well, the tracks are essentially a resource in a way because it's not just placing your worker to move up a track. Yes, that is a very important aspect of the game, and you're going to have to do that well. But those cards and those spots will require you to do a move up or a move down, or just, you know, I want to do this action on the card, and I'm forced to go down on tracks. And so managing the tracks is a whole nother element to the game where it's not just you're racing up the track. You're going to be going up a track, down a track, up a track, down a track. I may neglect this track to start going up this track because I really want to start getting that production. There's a lot of different strategy you can do in this game. It's not, like, it's easy to teach, but it's not one that's
It is hard to master.
It can get, not for me, it can give you, in my first score, Eric was like, that's a really good first place score. I was like, okay, yeah, hard to master. So yeah, it's one where if you've got people with analysis paralysis, it may come in to play because there's just each action can mean a lot. And that's including, I'm just activating the specialist because now I've spent something to gain something that could have helped me 3 actions later. So you've really got to, there's a lot of planning you need to do, but you need to be able to adjust real quick because if a leader goes there, a leader goes there, well, now I can't go do that. So I'm going to have to start setting up for the future,
or somebody gets the specialist that you wanted. There can be things that kind of throw wrenches in your plan, and you can do that to the other player. So there is some player interaction in this game too, which, you know, again, it's all things that you've seen in other games, but the way it's blended together in this game is so smooth. It's intuitive. It feels like a complete process. Nothing about it is herky-jerky or anything like that. So I love this game. This is a really good experience.
I think it's great. We're not just saying that because they sent it. I think this is a great game with a great production built onto it. This is another one of those, like a few of the Kickstarters we've done lately that I'm just like, man, I got to send this away, which really stinks. But I can't wait for that copy to come in. It's going to be one of those that comes in, and if there's even a sliver of a chance to play it, like we're pretty much caught up, I'm going to break it out right when it comes up because I've gone so long without it. And I have one coming in a month, and I'm like, I can't wait till that comes because if it's possible, I'm tabling it that weekend. So.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's our thoughts here on Natera New Beginnings. It is from Horizon Games. This is going to be a really hot one, guys. I think you should definitely keep your eye on this one. It's coming to crowdfunding, so make sure to check out the link down below in the description of this video now that you've watched it. While you're down there, make sure to leave us some comments. Let us know what you think about this particular game. If you like this video, please, please, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to be notified of all of our great new content. I'm Lance.
I'm Jeremy.
And we are Hard to Master, where we take a look at games that are hard to master. We'll catch you next time.
August 27th. See ya!